phone is Dr. Zuhdi Jasser. Dr. Jasser, let me explain to the audience. You are a Muslim. You served 11 years in America's Navy. You've lived in America for many years. You're from Syria. And you've joined us many times on this program as the American Islamic Forum for Democracy. You are its founder. Welcome to the program. I want to say right from the get-go that this, I think, is the worst possible news item for Muslims living in America. Do you say?
There's no doubt, and thanks for having me back, Stuart. And, our hearts are with our allies in Australia, and I'm glad that this has been resolved. But the bigger picture is that these are not lone wolves. Australia has been on the front lines. They have had groups even more threatening than what we've seen in America. They have a group called Sharia for Australia. Its imam was on Australian television just a few months ago talking about how a public attack by a Muslim against another Muslim where he was attacked because of drinking alcohol was valid, and he was calling for Sharia law. His name is Imam Ibrahim Sadiq Kolan, and he was interviewed on the Australian television. And they have lots of these movements, and I've been actually attacked personally by some of the Sharia advocates in Australia on my Twitter feed. So these guys are very mobilized. The Australian government moved a couple months ago to confiscate over 80 different passports of those who were headed toward ISIS. And I'll tell you, that flag he hung from the window was not an ISIS flag. It was an Islamic flag that said, "Bear witness that God is our God and Muhammad is the prophet." That's why he's asking now. He was asking for the prime minister to bring an ISIS flag. So these guys are part of a global movement of caliphism, of dominance of Islamic states over the West and over liberty in countries like Australia.
I think what Americans want to see is Muslims like yourself getting out there saying, we don't want any part of this. We are patriotic Americans. We love this country for its freedoms that have been granted to us. Are we going to see more American Muslims come out and say, we don't want any part of this?
I hope so. I pray so. But I think we need to do more for Americans to really believe us, and that we just don't need to condemn the violence, and we don't want part of that radicalism. We need to have pro-Western national identity movements for America, for Australia, for European countries, and against these Islamo-patriots who believe in the Islamic State. That's how the jihadists work. And yes, Australian Muslims as a majority were condemning these groups, but they didn't have a palpable ideologic reform movement against the Sharia state and against that movement, Sharia for Australia. And as a result, you see the radicalization, and you see no strategy coming from within the grassroots of the Australian Muslim community and as well in America.
Dr. Jasser, you're a brave man. You stand out and support America. You are a patriotic American. What proportion of American Muslims share your views?
Well, I believe our constituency is likely 70–80% of American Muslims believe in the preeminence of American exceptionalism. The problem is they're like the silent Germans. They haven't really wanted to go frontally against the ideas of the Islamic State and Islamo-patriotism. So as a result, we need to put a fire under the feet of my co-religionists and say, you know what, not only do you need to condemn the violence, you need to form counter-movements to condemn and end the concept of the state, not only ISIS, but all Islamic states that feed the separation of identity, where they want to do anything to just exit the world in acts like we saw yesterday in Australia.
Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, thank you very much for joining us on a very important day. Thank you.